Hi everyone, Captain Crunch Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Foxygen record and Star Power. Yay! Foxygen is a West Coast rock and pop band fronted by singer-songwriter duo Sam France and Jonathan Rado. I was first introduced to their music through this album, right over here, Take the Kids Off Broadway. Very good fun record. Think the Unicorns teaming up with Ariel Pink to do a medley of songs that kind of sound like songs that the Rolling Stones, the Stooges in the early years, as well as like the Velvet Underground, the Beatles, and David Bowie would write. And like some Kinks and maybe some Animals too. Not only was this record super nostalgic, but the way that these guys wrote their songs was almost schizophrenic, jumping from one popular music sound in the 60s to another. I thought this record was super creative, super awesome, and it just had me waiting with bated breath for when Foxygen would come through again and put out some new stuff, and they did really quickly on the same label, JAGJAGUWAR. We are the Bass 21st Magic. It's a crazy title. And to me, this record was a surprisingly tame follow-up to Take the Kids Off Broadway. The production was cleaner, the songs were more concise, no longer were Sam and Jonathan kind of just jumping around sonically or stylistically. And even though it was a sudden change, the very good and catchy tunes all over this record kind of carried the band through the transition and proved that Foxygen has potential beyond sort of whoever is into lo-fi, weird, experimental, psychedelic, pop, nostalgic, throwback music stuff. However, not soon after this release, a bunch of inner band drama kind of came to light on the internet and music blogs and music websites, and then there were a few very underwhelming solo releases, which I kind of came away from thinking, okay, hey, it doesn't matter. Foxygen is a totally different band. They sound best as a team. I just want to hear the record that they make as a team and follow their last album up. They're a team. Team, 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 team. At least that's how I felt until I heard this record. Now, on the surface, this record seems like a really bold, ballsy, experimental, totally unpredicted move. There's 80 minutes of material on this record, and Sam and Jonathan are going back in a lo-fi direction, which is part of why their early stuff was so fun and crazy and spontaneous. But these surface-level assumptions fell apart completely and fully as soon as I started actually listening to what Foxygen was doing on this record in terms of writing and in terms of performing. In this 20-plus song track list, Foxygen unapologetically churns out one inconsequential non-song after another. Either the band couldn't even be bothered to write anything compelling, or they've totally lost the ability to edit themselves, to say, hey, this track, good, this other track, not so good, so we're going to take the good track and put that on the record and take the not so good track and just push that to the side. As evidenced by songs like 666 or Wally's Farm or the song Hot Summer, one of many tracks in the track listing here that feels like Foxygen hasn't really written or recorded a song as much as they are just sort of jamming on a really weak idea. And when Foxygen does have a decent song on their hands, they deliver the most half-hearted performance and recording and just suck all the potential out of the track. The song Coulda Been My Love. Take that track, for example. This song's chorus is so anemic, it's like the musical equivalent to a fart. Rather than exploding and bursting or just coming together with a rush of inspiring instrumentation that might actually make the love theme of this song feel tangible or relatable, might actually move a listener emotionally, the song's just like, chorus is coming, 1, 2, 3, There are a few tracks on here, like Cannibal Holocaust, that has that sort of Take the Kids Off Broadway musical schizophrenia vibe to them, but even these tracks don't come together that well. They just kind of feel like one part just pasted with another part. This is also kind of an issue on the album's 4-part title track. Nowhere on the record is the gap between Foxygen's ambition and their execution, what actually happens on this record, wider. It's just a series of tracks, sort of an intro, a song, sort of a bit of a build-up, and then an outro. It seems like these tracks would complement one another on paper, but the recording styles don't even fit on each song. The segues between each track are really sloppy, and not only that, but the second and third parts of this song, the performances are so loose, the band doesn't even sound together on these tracks. It's like listening to a Velvet Underground song without actually any songwriting, or like a really subpar live recording of the Rolling Stones on an off night. And then Foxygen has the gall to put out tracks like Winter Freedom that starts off with this incredibly noisy, abrasive drone. Like, so far on the album, you have not dished out not even 2 minutes of exciting, compelling music, and you're gonna drone me out and do a noise piece? However, it should be noted that this noise piece is more compelling than a lot of what would be considered a song on this album. It's not uncommon for a band to put out a record that I love, or maybe 2 records that I love, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they drop a full length that I don't love quite as much. It happens. It's not a big deal. But rarely is the disappointment this stunning. Though, not to say this record was without precedent or that it couldn't have been seen. I mean, this LP to me kind of feels like the Jonathan Rado album with just way more runtime. I would like to think that somewhere in this track listing there is a pretty good EP, something that after I listen to it I would think, okay, that was alright. Hopefully there's a better album in the future. However, I can't have that reaction here. That would be to ignore all of the awful, non-essential, and completely pointless tracks in this track listing, which just really make up a bulk of the runtime here. The terrible recording, the terrible writing, the terrible performances. Inexcusable stuff, like a band that just got together a year ago and this is their first Bandcamp album type stuff. This is not the kind of thing that when I listen to it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is on a label. This has got to be on a label. So I'm just kind of disappointed with this record at multiple angles as a fan of this band, as a fan of music in general, and also just to think that this is sitting on vinyl somewhere. I am feeling a strong 1 to a light 2 on this LP, to be completely honest. Transition, if you've given this record a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Foxygen, forever.